remain standing. I invite Ms. Leona Mathre to lead us in a word of prayer.
Catholics, sign yourselves. Father Divine, we come before you through the name of your Son, Christ Jesus, thanking you for this opportunity of a new day. We thank you for this milestone. We thank you for all the shareholders and stakeholders that have executed this project. We want to ask your divine covering over the proceedings, now moving forward. Through your Son, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Mathre, and you may have your seats. Today's gathering represents more than a workshop. To us, it is a celebration of collaboration, climate action, and innovation, born from the shared commitment to build resilient communities and sustainable agricultural systems across our beloved islands of St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are here under the umbrella of the Be Resilience for SIDS project, building climate resilience, for food and water security in 2 small island developing states through ecosystem-based adaptation. This initiative, funded by the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund's EBA facility and co-financed by the International Climate Initiative of the German Federal Ministry of Environment, Nature Conservation, Nuclear Safety, and Consumer Protection, stands as a powerful example of what regional cooperation and science-based sustainability can achieve. As we reflect, learn, and share our lessons today, let us remember we truly are shaping the future of agriculture and, most importantly, the resilience of our people, our food systems, and our planet. To officially begin today's proceedings and set the context for our discussions, I invite a visionary whose leadership has been instrumental in advancing sustainable agriculture and ecosystem-based adaptation across the region. Please welcome Dr. Euthalia Filjans, an agriculture consultant, to deliver our opening remarks and our project overview. Let's welcome her.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, good morning. It's good to see everybody here today. Those that are here for the first time, I'm sure you're enjoying it. And for you to see the progress that we have made. All the protocols have been established, but I would like to recognize the Minister, the Deputy PS for Sustainable, our CBF representative, and of course, Dr. Owen Day, the SLNU persons, and all our farmers and students that are here today. We welcome you. We thank you for coming. It's a pleasure having you. Why are we here? Why have we gotten here? I'm a little challenged. I'm new, so this thing has to fit properly. Yes, thank you so very much. All right. So we are here to see what we have done so far underneath our project, which is Be Resilience for Seeds, which Miss Amanda has kindly given the whole acronym. So I will not bother you with that again. Okay, the project is being implemented in St. Lucia and in St. Vincent. She also mentioned that by Claire Caribbean. And I was charged with doing the agriculture section of it, which it has 2 components. The marine sector, which is a coral reef, which is done by Mr. Ariste, which will be speaking to you later. All right, so what is our goal of this project? This project is to reduce vulnerability of our coastal farmers, our fishing communities in St. Lucia, and also St. Vincent, although they're not there today, but we cannot say that this project is in 2 countries, so we have to mention both. All right, so we know climate change is here, and we need to do things to make sure that we are resilient. So therefore, we have done this whole project, and we are inviting you to see what we have done. Okay, so far, what have we done? One of the first things we did, we had training for our coaches. We have 4 coaches on this project, and they are here today. You will meet with them in a bit. They went to St. Vincent to do some training on permaculture. After this was done, they came back to St. Lucia, and we had 4 different training in different parts of St. Lucia. We had 1 in the north, 1 in the south, 1 in the east, and 1 in the west. So we had 4 different permaculture training for farmers that are on the project and persons that were just interested. And we got a lot of persons being interested, and they also have started. To date, we have over 60 farmers under this project. We also, yes, yeah, we, thank you. We also have collaborated with the Venezuelan government. That's why we were able to bring in our 5 schools also on this project, and they are represented in large numbers. Thank you, schools and teachers, for being here today. All right. So what did they receive? They received tanks for rainwater harvesting. They also received irrigation systems, small agricultural implements, and we also received, what should we say? Yeah, basically, these are some of the things that they received. While they were implementing their farms, we also had the coaches. The coaches were there with them at every step, okay? Now, I know some of us maybe say, oh, we get more treatment than others, but that's okay because some of our farmers were way in advance. We had farmers from different levels. We had way advanced farmers. We had farmers that were just starting. We had farmers that were in between. And the other thing we chose also, we chose farmers from different backgrounds. We had backyard farming, large farmers, farmers that had very small spaces because we wanted to show the versatility of the lasagna bed method. So we had all of that going on, all right? So the whole point is to ensure that everyone can do that project. We don't want it to seem to be only large farmers, or everybody can do this project. And the farmers will let you know later how it was for them, if it was impactful, and how it went while they were doing the work. The other stuff, we also created a monitoring tool, and this tool will tell us our baseline and how the farms have improved over time, how the soils have improved, what pests they saw, and so on. So all of that was also included. Some of our institutions, like the schools and our larger farmers, receive solar irrigation systems. And those systems is to help farmers take their water from wherever, since we give them rainwater harvesting systems. And we are aware that some spaces do not have the gravity to pull down the water. So they were given solar pumps. And we have a church group that actually took on this whole project. And we're happy that they're here today to represent. And the schools, they all receive solar irrigation systems. Okay, so basically, this is what our project is about, and we brought you here today to see what we have done, first to hear your point of views, and how we can move forward. And we are hoping that you participate as much as possible, and we thank you for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fulgens, for this insightful opening, which was a reminder that resilience is not just a goal, but actually a mindset, a way of life for our small island states. Before moving the program along, let me kindly recognize the presence of our esteemed members of the audience. From the Ministry of Sustainable Development, we have our Deputy Permanent Secretary, Mr. Chris Satney. Welcome. From the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund, we have Mr. Kurt Prosper. Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, we have Mr. Brent Theophil and Ms. Tiffany Suraj. From the St. Lucia National Conservation Fund, Mr. Dylan Averill and his team. From the Ministry of Education, we have a representative from the Technical and Vocational Education and Training, the South Louis Community College, the head of Agriculture Department, Dr. Ziana Boulogne Joseph, the St. Lucia TVET Institute, that is the Stanley John Odlum School of Arts, Media, and Design. We also have the School of Sustainable Agriculture and Culinary Arts. Present here again is the School of Innovation and Technology, the School of Construction and Heritage, and the St. Lucia Sports Academy, that is the Environmental Club. Our directors from Clare Caribbean, we have Dr. Owen Day and Mr. Newton Ariste, Dr. Euthalia Filjas, who is the agriculture consultant. We do have community representation as well from this constituency, and we have the council chairman, Mr. Damien Joseph. And who? Damien Shabaptiste, so sorry. The project coordinator of the Tree Crops Project in the Ministry of Agriculture, Ms. Sherry-Ann Smith, welcome. And all other students and partners present here today. As the program moves along, I invite you to welcome Dr. Day, who is the director of Clare Caribbean, to deliver some remarks. Let's welcome him.
Thank you very much, Amanda, and thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Euthalia, for the introduction. And good morning, everyone. It's a huge pleasure to be here today, and with so many of you. It's always a great pleasure to come here to Latiel Falls at this wonderful farm and spiritual haven, really, that represents a lot of what we're talking about today, about a philosophy of caring for the earth, and being more mindful about how we grow food, how we treat the ocean, how we look after our future. It's a great honor for me to be here today and to tell you a little bit more about this project. I don't know if you can see the screen over to the right. I'm not going to repeat that very long title, but basically it's about building resilience of our farming systems and of our coastal zone by working with communities. As Euthalia said, this project is funded by the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund, supported by KfW and the German government. We also have support from partners in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Richmond Vale Academy, We Are Myro, and we also had some additional funding from the private sector, Tradewinds Charters, Sandals Foundation, and the Inter-American Foundation from the US. So you've heard my name, Owen Day, and my two colleagues here from Clare, you will be, no doubt, meeting later. Newton Ariste. Newton, do you want to put your hand up? And Falco, who work with me on this project. And I just want to give you a little bit of a background and also tell you a little bit, firstly, what Clare is. So we are a not-for-profit organization registered in the UK, but also in St. Lucia. And we focus really on trying to make community development and ecosystem-based adaptation come together. It's finding the nexus between livelihoods and adaptation. So that's always been our focus, and we've had, we're only 10 years old, but we've had a lot of support from a number of big international donors, and we hope to continue this work. Much of the work we've done in the past has been to do with coral restoration. Could you go back one, please? Sorry, thank you. And so why corals, you might say? Well, corals are extremely important to the Caribbean. They support fisheries, coastal fisheries, by creating the habitats for small fish, the nursery habitats. They also are very important for tourism, very, very valuable for the dive industry, snorkeling, the marine tourism sector, but they also create the sand on our beaches, so very important ecosystems. And working with our coral gardeners, our community-based partners, we've established coral nurseries, as you can see on the left here, using different techniques, either tables or ropes or trees or frames, at a number of sites, 5 sites over the last 10 years. We have a very big program in St. Lucia, the SMMA, in Soufrière. If any of you are interested in coming to look at it, if you snorkel or dive, you can get in touch with Newton. I'm sure he can arrange a visit. We also work in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the Tobago Keys Marine Park. Beautiful, huge expanse of shallow reefs, very different to St. Lucia. very different topography. So over the last 10 years, we've managed to train 50 coral gardeners and providing equipment and training and stipends. And with their input, we've managed to establish 5 coral nurseries and plant 18,000 corals. So quite a large amount of work. Newton helped develop an NVQ, a National Vocational Qualification in coral restoration at level 2 and level 3. It's now a CVQ, so recognized across the CARICOM region. And we've developed partnerships with the private sector to help provide sustainable finance. And so this is a reef. Next slide, please. Sorry. This is actually a video. I don't know if it's going to play, but it's a reef that was completely dead. There was nothing on it. It was just rubble. But after 3 years, only 3 years of planting corals, we were able to transform it and bring back the fish, bring back the lobsters, make a huge difference to the value of that reef. So it is possible to do this. So based on the successes we had, we were able to get a larger project, which is the project we're here to talk about today. That was just a little background as to what we've been doing. The project that we are talking about today, which includes both farming and coral restoration, had 3 major objectives. One was to restore damaged coral reefs at selected sites using community members. That's a key part of our approach, to train local people to become the owners, the stewards of the restoration work. We wanted to increase small-scale farmers' capacity to switch to more sustainable, climate-resilient farming methods and establish a total of 100 demonstration farms. And I think we're almost on target to reach that goal. This project finishes in May 2026. We hope to get a 3-year extension. I'm literally waiting today and tomorrow as to whether we can sign an agreement for another 3 years. And so what did we do? So we've heard from you, Thalia. I just wanted to show a few pictures of, sorry, next slide. Sorry, I should have, sorry. Next slide, please. So water is obviously critical for farming. And as you know, with climate change, the rainfall patterns you're accustomed to have changed. Sometimes you have droughts in the rainy season. Sometimes you have a lot of rain in the dry season. So managing water is a very challenging task for farmers. So part of the project was to provide water storage, water catchment equipment, rainwater harvesting, as well as irrigation to some farmers, so they can manage water more effectively. These ladies in this picture are all from the small island of Mairo, which has a huge problem with water. It's a very low-lying island, and they have no rivers, they have no reservoirs. Everybody has to catch the rainwater they need themselves. So water is really a very valuable resource for them. But climate-smart farming is not just about water, it's also about the soil. And this is what we're going to focus on more today. And next slide, please. Sorry. Many of the farmers have very, very steep land, so very prone to soil erosion, very susceptible also to drought. If you have a lot of sun and no rain and it's exposed to the heat, it will become parched. So very challenging for many farmers. And one of the ways to help them is to look at how we can create more resilient soils by using this system called lasagna beds, which you will be seeing today. Some of you may have seen already the beds that were built by the trainees from Chris and Elijah and Cookie and Kendon. Huge amount of work. This photograph on the left, sorry, next slide, please. The photograph on the left is from the Richmond Vale Academy. They have a large demonstration farm where they do lots of lasagna beds. On the right is a training program. Next slide, please. And so, why is soil health so important? Well, I'll just give you 4 reasons. There are probably many more, but the 4 key reasons why soil ecosystems are so important and why we can consider managing soils as an ecosystem-based adaptation solution. This is really important. There are 4 reasons. One is, if you look after the health of the soil ecosystems, you have a relationship between fungi and plants that develops, that provides nutrients to the plant from deep in the ground. So people are realizing more and more very recently just how important this relationship is between plants and fungi. And that provides fertility much more sustainably than adding fertilizer. You know, adding synthetic artificial fertilizer breaks that relationship. The second main benefit is water regulation. So good soils will allow water to permeate into the ground, and they won't get dry, they won't get eroded. The third reason is that if you have more biodiversity in the soil, you will have more biodiversity above the soil. And that will help control pests, it'll help control more resilient ecosystems. And finally, you're pulling carbon out of the atmosphere into the soil. And this is a really key part of our work, is we also want to contribute to pulling carbon out of the atmosphere, which is causing climate change, and putting it in the soil. So, next slide, please. Oh, thank you. The project has had a few setbacks, and the biggest one undoubtedly was the hurricane we had last year, which devastated the island of Mairo and Union Island. Complete devastation. 95% of homes lost their roofs. Even the church you can see in the middle. This is a 200-year-old church with walls made of stone, about 2 foot thick. The walls got knocked over by the hurricane. Extraordinary. So many people lost their homes, their livelihoods. And to add insult to injury, later that year we had the worst marine heat wave. So the sea became very, very warm for a long period of time, and we had the worst mass coral bleaching. So that's when the corals turn white, you can see on the right-hand side. And this was the worst ever, and a huge number of corals died. Most of the corals we have died, and this is across the Caribbean region, not just here in St. Lucia and St. Vincent. But after the storm, after the hurricane, we helped the farmers rebuild their farms. We helped them, first of all, the lady on the left, she lost all her fencing, and in Union Island and in Mairo, there are huge numbers of goats. There are a lot of sheep, goats, cows, iguanas, even tortoises that will come and eat your crops. So the first priority was putting back fencing. And once we had done that, the local communities were very quick to rebuild their home gardens using whatever containers they could use, even bricks, to grow crops. And this picture on the far right is of Mrs. Harvey, who's the leader of the farmers on Union Island, and she's growing a lot of lettuces and many other crops. So real resilience in the spirit of the people working with us as well. Our coral program, we are now planning a vision for the next few years. Just very briefly, we want to scale up the work we've been doing, but with more resilient corals, so corals that are not so vulnerable to bleaching. They're more heat resistant, and some of these we may have to bring from other countries. We also have started building reef modules. Here they're called reef balls. So you see the picture on the bottom right. These are concrete structures called reef balls that you can build on land and put in the sea, and they provide instantly habitat for fish, for lobster, and you can plant coral on them. So they can help quickly provide the habitat for a lot of the marine biodiversity. And by planting corals on them, they become much more valuable to the ecosystem. So we're planning to do that. And finally, we want to also tackle sewage pollution from yachts. This is a big problem in the Caribbean. There's a very large number of yachts that come and anchor right up next to the coral reefs, or they take moorings, and a lot of them are leaving sewage. So that's something we want to stop. Just very briefly, just to say why corals are in trouble is because of the heat. And one of the, sorry, next slide, please. One of the main opportunities in the Caribbean would be to move corals from the hot areas of the Caribbean, like Cuba and Jamaica and Belize. You see on that chart, the temperatures are about 1 degree warmer in the northwestern Caribbean. So those corals have already adapted to higher temperatures. So a lot of scientists, a lot of practitioners like myself are asking governments to start thinking of assisting in moving coral, small pieces of coral. We could put them on a plane and fly them down to countries like St. Lucia or St. Vincent where it's cooler, and these corals would have a better chance of survival. So this is something we're discussing currently with the governments to see if we can facilitate that. And finally, I'm going to stop talking now. I realize I've taken probably too much time. Where do we want to go with farming? So we're here today to think about this, to talk about it. So please, let's have a productive discussion. But these are just some of the ideas that we are thinking about for the next 3 years. We want to scale up the work that we've been doing with farmers and encourage climate-smart farming techniques like permaculture, like organic farming, and like regenerative agriculture. We want to demonstrate that having healthy soils increases the fertility and reduces your vulnerability to droughts and soil erosion. We want to stop people using poisonous pesticides, synthetic fertilizers, which harm the soil, but also harm our own health. And more people I've spoken to here today are saying they're switching because they want to be healthier, not eating pesticides on their food. So this is a key part. And also pesticides kill coral reefs. So we need to be thinking of what's downstream. And finally, technology is now becoming cheaper all the time. Today we'll hopefully see a demonstration of a solar-powered pump using the sun to power water up a hill so you can irrigate crops above your water supply using sunlight, so it's free. Once you have the machine, you don't have to pay for electricity. Drip irrigation and other technologies like using sensors to measure moisture. Been having discussions with Kevin about how we can use that maybe going forwards. So very interesting ideas. Please today come up with some more thoughts, ideas about how farming could be made more resilient in St. Lucia. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm looking forward to meeting you all in the next few hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. D. Thank you very much, Dr. D. At this time, let me recognize the presence of the beautiful ladies from the Methodist Church. We are so heartened. We're so heartened that you could make the trip down to Mico to be with us here, and I'm sure you could tell us more about your project during the discussion phase of today's activity. At this time, we'll hear some brief remarks from Mr. Kurt Prosper, the representative of the Biodiversity Fund, whose perspective will help frame the discussion segment from a funding and policy standpoint. Let's welcome him.
Good? Yeah, you good. All right. Hi, good morning, everyone. All right. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so I'll be very, 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 very short. Good afternoon, everyone. All right. Allow me to adopt the protocol established, acknowledging everyone that's here for your presence and your importance. I am delivering remarks on behalf of Ulrike Kraus, who is the project manager for the ecosystem-based adaptation facility under the climate change program at CBF, the Caribbean Biodiversity Funds. She sends her apologies, but there is a very important meeting with the donor of CBF and who requested her present something, so she really couldn't make it here, but she really wanted to see and be part of the discussions, especially with Clear Caribbean, given that you would see that most of the expertise you would see, the project is focused on coral reefs, but then we also have a agricultural component. So much of Dr. Owen's presentation was on coral reef and showing the linkage with agriculture and what happens inland. So the genesis of this component, why you're here, why the link between coral reefs and agriculture, which is what you are here to discuss and learn about from your peers and persons who have gone on to do the lasagna beds in their either home gardens or commercial farms. So the project really started off, it was written by FAO under a call, and for internal reasons, we could not go ahead and work with FAO, and Clear Caribbean took up the mantle, and together with the help of Brent from AICA, which we want to acknowledge here, they took up the mantle. Euthalia led the agricultural component very bravely, I must say, with the other coaches, to ensure that the agricultural component of the project actually went on and is the success that it is today. So initially, at the CBF and the EBA facility, there was a first project written by Brent, a multi-country project, which was strengthening coastal marine climate resilience through upland and coastal EBA ecosystem-based adaptation and community engagement. And the CBF thought it important to learn on that project and build on it. So it was not only to facilitate having a reach to reef approach, but to also build upon past experiences. So that's the genesis of why we are here. And again, special acknowledgement to Brent for his role and part in the process. So we would also like to thank Clear Caribbean who took up the mantle and was flexible enough and see the importance with not only concentrating on what's done in the marine space, but realizing that what we do, the actions that we take very close to our homes could impact as far as the sea and the coral reefs. So we'd like to thank Owen, Newton, and the rest of the Clear Caribbean team who has been a strategic partner and who continues to partner with us to ensure that we don't only deal with the marine component, marine nature, but that we also pay attention to what's done on land. I see today some persons who have welcomed me to their farms and homes to look at the lasagna beds. So I thank you again and welcome. And I think the last, I'll be very brief. Yeah, and I think that's it. To the coaches, Euthalia, the coaching team, big up. I've had the pleasure to go on several field visits with them, to visit several of the homesteads and the home gardens where the lasagna method is being practiced and taken up. Some are very small, some are much bigger, and hopefully is a commencement of a change. And it's a technology that could be easily adopted, reduce the pesticides and all the good things that we'll hear about today. But the idea is that we could adopt it, and every little effort, although you may think you're only impacting your own small space, the effect does ripple off within the wider ecosystem, and it could reach as far as the marine space. So with that, I'd like to thank you. Again, Ulrike sends her apologies, but on behalf of the CBF, we'd like to thank you, and Clear Caribbean, Brent, the other partners we have with us, and we hope that the knowledge exchange, you do learn something, and we do, apart from learning, we take up the knowledge learned and we action it. We actually go up and we do something about it. So with that, I welcome you to a warm afternoon, and I hope that you would enjoy the exchanges that you have with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prosper. Now we shift from science and strategy to the soul of sustainability. Our next presentation reminds us that the beauty of agriculture and the environment is not only in what we grow, but in how we feel and connect to the earth. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Sharika Tuse, who will grace us with a poetic performance. Let's welcome her.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you all for being here. All right. A change in pattern. Isn't it true that the sky is blue? But as the day fades and the sun sets, so does the cerulean into darkness. In a changing climate, achieving maximum food security is key, and every crop tells a story. The grass isn't always green, but also action and choices can be seen. Are you listening? Isn't it true that care for the people and care for the youth creates a more nourished and thriving ecosystem? Our expectations from Mother Nature should be self-reflective as farmers. What have you done? Now that the butterflies are gone, and as the droughts persist, itsy-bitsy comes raining pests and diseases, ravishing and devouring all in its trajectory. Mother Nature, she is very angry for pouring her chemicals and making her eyes sore. She wept and went on a heavy downpour. Isn't it true that a difference can be made between me and you? The skies are clear whilst the world is burning and glaciers melting. Let us give back to the earth all that is lost, because it is the foundation of our health and our well-being. Thank you.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, let me offer a word of apology for our team at the Ministry of Agriculture, who are not present this morning due to some unforeseen circumstances. Let's wish them well in that regard. But the program moves right along, and we are honored to, I'm so sorry, one second. That's right. It happens when the program shifts. So I want to draw your attention to the right side of the venue as we turn our attention to a visual journey that is a story told through our farmers, our communities, and partners who have made this project what it is today. Please enjoy this video presentation highlighting Claire Caribbean's work in its impact and achievements thus far.
Small island developing states like St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines face a growing threat: rising seas, stronger hurricanes, and unpredictable rainfall. But across coastal communities, a new movement is growing, quite literally from the ground up. A movement powered by ecosystem-based adaptation, helping families secure food, protect water, and revive land. The project Building Climate Resilience for Food and Water Security in 2 SIDS through ecosystem-based adaptation, or B Resilience for SIDS, is restoring coral reefs, strengthening coastal farming, and teaching climate-smart food production, including a powerful method called the lasagna bed, a low-cost layered garden system that turns waste into fertile soil.
We've been working in St. Lucia for the past 8 years on a coral restoration program based in Soufrière, and this has been going very well. We employ a large team of coral gardeners. But about 2 years ago, we were approached to be a partner in a bigger project that would involve both coral restoration and sustainable farming. It's a ridge to reef project. So basically it's looking at how we can improve the resilience of food systems, of agriculture in communities in St. Lucia, as well as protecting the biodiversity and the soil health, as well as protecting the reefs.
For many coastal families, farming is becoming harder. Soils are drier, water is scarce, salt intrusion damages crops, climate change threatens food security. But lasagna beds turn challenge into opportunity, conserving water, regenerating soil, and producing food all year round.
First of all, we'll be doing proper soil conservation. We are expecting that even we have people from different walks of life. We have full-fledged farmers, we have household farms, we have persons that are just interested coming here to do the training today. So we're expecting that they will practice those soil conservation methods. That will encourage, get our soils to where they need to be. So when there's floods, we're expecting that our soil system will be able to hold water, retain water, and that it just not wash off the top. Now we have a dry season. We are doing techniques that will encourage the soil to be keep its moisture, and all of those things will benefit, of course, because once you can do that, you can have soil growing year round. You'll have water because we're doing rainwater harvesting. So all of that things will be beneficial to the country.
Trainees from St. Lucia learned smart climate agriculture at the Richmond Vale Academy, then returned home to teach entire communities. From there, many model farms and home gardens are being built, at least 40 in St. Lucia.
Well, the lasagna bed is basically a compost pile in a bed. What we do is that we start with using brown material, well, minimal tillage of the ground, and then we put a layer of brown material, which is like your carbon, and then a layer of green material, 10-inch thick, and we continue along this process. We can use different material depending on what is available in the area. In the lasagna bed, we also use a form of planting called companion planting, that we use plants that complement each other. So you don't grow one crop on the bed. We grow at least a complementary of three different crops.
As resources on the planet are being affected by climate change, global warming, but mainly they are being affected by us humans. And we need to care for the future in terms of the generation to come, our great-grandchildren, and this is very vital in terms of how do we conserve and protect our natural resources. So in terms of planning for even your household development, you actually want to care for the future. So it's actually a holistic aspect of how do we approach life and have a mindset that there is a generation to come, and how do we protect the natural resources that are already there.
Being on this project was a wonderful thing for me. I learned a lot when it comes to lasagna beds, things I didn't know, and then it is a challenge, but it's a very good thing so that you could use the material around you. But when it comes to quality, you get with the lasagna bed, the quality will be richer when it comes to the smell of the herbs, and when it comes to shelf life, you get a better shelf life.
Permaculture farming has added value to my life. As a result of what I do and what I eat, I was able to lose 22 pounds in 4 months. The value of permaculture planting. Unfortunately, because of the area that I live in, rainfall is rare. You wouldn't believe how rare it is. So what I resorted to do was to actually use containers so that I could contain the water that I was using to plant my produce.
As you can see, we have a few layers of dry and green, and then to the top we did some mulching, and as you can see, our plants are growing quite nicely. I must say that this project is one that is very informative in that you learn a lot in and out of workshops. So when you go, whatever you learn, you put it into practice, and there you see a lot of the benefits of these things.
One of the benefits is that you can create fertile, healthy soil. As you can see, the soil is very light and airy. So you can create fertile soil. And this fertile soil is created mainly by the microorganisms which grow in the soil. So they break down the soil, giving you light, healthy, airy soil. And this is my celery bed in progress.
I've benefited in a lot of ways. One is the experience of this method of growing your crops. Two, the knowledge shared with me and others. And thanking all those who took part in educating me about it.
From protecting coral reefs offshore to growing food security on land, this project connects ecosystems and people in one climate-smart chain of survival.
So we're expecting it to be holistic. Eventually, we're expecting it to spill over into the schools. We are looking at another project where we can actually extend to the schools. So we've been working hard. We've been getting everything going for this project. So presently, people have tanks, they have pipes, they have bins, and now we are just waiting to get the other implements and little pieces such as irrigation lines and so on. And we're looking at rainwater harvesting and soil conservation technique, which is the lasagna beds.
The goal, 1,000 home gardens across the region, stronger food systems and the communities more prepared for climate shocks. And what started with 10 trainees is already multiplying, neighbor to neighbor, house to house, garden to garden.
There's a growing realization worldwide that the key to resilient farming is about the soil. It's about making sure that we stop using chemicals, herbicides, pesticides, even inorganic fertilizers, and we go back to more traditional methods of organic farming, where we're using mulch, we're using manure, we're using companion planting to prevent pests. And this is a whole new area called permaculture, which has been around for a long time, but is now gaining a lot of traction with the climate change adaptation community that are realizing that we really have to focus back on the health of our soils to ensure the health of our communities.
Climate change is real, but so is the power of community. So is the power of soil, sunlight, and shared knowledge. And so is the power of a simple lasagna bed to transform land, livelihoods, and the future. Resilience doesn't arrive from the outside. It grows from within.
A round of applause. A round of applause for the production team. Such work can only be captured by a passionate and dedicated development communicator and the work of Claire Caribbean. Let's give another round of applause. It's a little too dry. Because that was some good storytelling. Very good storytelling. We are privileged right now to hear from a leader whose work continues to redefine agricultural innovation in the Caribbean. Mr. Brent Theophil actively works in agricultural and rural development with focus on agribusiness management, entrepreneurship, and actionable learning with partners and stakeholders. He is the national specialist for ECA in St. Lucia, where he manages a work program prioritizing enterprise development, bioeconomy, and farmer organization, and community-based entrepreneurship. In addition to extensive experience in conducting research for a range of subject matters, he brings to ECA and its team expertise in fisheries economics, product development, and agricultural policy. Please welcome Mr. Brent Theophil, who will deliver today's keynote address, his keynote speech, that is, sharing insights on the intersection of innovation, resilience, and sustainable agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Theophil.
Good afternoon, everyone. Bon après-midi, tout le monde. And for the anime fans, because I know among the kids there are some anime fans, Ohio, Mina. So good afternoon and welcome. I think the team, first of, before I get into anything or the remarks, just to give a round of applause for the local team. I think I told Owen that earlier today, Clear Caribbean, you have a great team in country in St. Lucia. Excellent location, an amazing engagement throughout the project. And from the time I rolled in this morning, I was greeted to music from Bob Marley, so I know that was going to be an excellent, excellent event. So the protocol already been established. I do want to give special recognition to the team from Clear Caribbean, the colleagues Kurt from CDF, folks from the Ministries of Agriculture, Education, and the team from Canneries. I see some of the faces that I know very well, as well as my colleague Tiffany from ECA, and some of the other folks who I have engaged along the road, my tenure here with ECA in St. Lucia, from Sir Arthur Lewis, and in a private capacity as well. So welcome one and all. Distinguished guests, fellow gardeners, farmers, friends, and stewards of the land. It is a pleasure and an honor to share this moment with you. On behalf of ECA's Director General, Dr. Manuel Otero, ECA's Director General-elect, Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed, Mr. Greg Rollins, ECA's representative for the Eastern Caribbean states, and my boss, I want to extend warm greetings to all and heartfelt thanks to the local team from the project and the organizers of today's event for the invitation to make this keynote address. As we gather to reflect on what we have learned through our shared experiences in permaculture and sustainable agriculture, I invite us to consider one essential truth. In the era of climate uncertainty, innovative learning is perhaps our most powerful tool. Innovative learning has a primary goal, and that is the development of self-directed learners who are flexible with their knowledge and will learn as they go. These persons are able to adapt to the situation, to whatever situation that's presented to them, and to use their critical thinking to transform knowledge to effective action. In small island states such as St. Lucia, where the climate crisis touches every hillside and every coastline, our capacity to learn, to adapt, and to innovate will determine our survival. Resilience is not built from large infrastructure projects or well-worded policies alone. It is built in the minds and in the hands of people who understand how nature works and how to work with it to bring about beneficial outcomes for planet, people, and profit. I hope that last part sounds very familiar to you because it is the key elements of the triple bottom line sustainability framework, which recognizes the importance of striking the right balance across social, environmental, and economic motivations in order to maximize long-term positive outcomes.
That said, every workshop, demonstration, and backyard experiment that introduces the triple bottom line principle shows how we can work in a practical scenario and contribute to a collective intelligence, something that we can call a living library of Caribbean solutions. And that truly is how we can win at climate adaptation, by learning faster than the climate is changing. This is nothing new to us in the Caribbean, and I'm always reminded of the words from a song from Bob Marley that says, "Our hands have been made strong by the hands of the Almighty." Going back to the 60s and the 70s, there was one particular region in the world that paved the way in terms of agricultural factor productivity. So when we talk about factor productivity, we're talking about how we use human talent, infrastructure, technology, resources to produce a positive outcome. And the region globally, when they assessed every single region in the world, the 60s and well into the late 70s, they found that the Caribbean led the way in terms of agricultural factor productivity. We were number one in terms of translating resources. That project. So what is called burger, it does a little bit why head in terms of factor productivity. They found that we had Pacific and Africa. But what made it different for us in the Caribbean, that made us more productive at the business of agriculture, was our ability to learn and to translate gardens and communities as living systems. It teaches us to design for abundance, to mimic nature's efficiency so that nothing is wasted and everything has a role. And with observation and knowledge, this sometimes yields those unobvious opportunities. For example, how many of you were surprised to see how productive your lasagna beds were? When Elijah and the guys said that they were going to put banana pseudo stems into those beds, myself thought those fellas are crazy. What are they going to put that in there for? But it proves that everything around us has purpose, has meaning, has a role. We can take that with knowledge and with effort and put it to productive use. It also, in the process, gives us perspective on the challenges. And that's important because through time, through knowledge, through application and learning, we come to see that the challenges that seemed so great and insurmountable became manageable. It changed our outlook on both the hindrances to moving forward, as well as lighted a fire in us on the opportunities available to move forward. Secondly, the process teaches us diversity. That standalone and optimized monocropping is not the only way to be abundant or profitable. You've learned through this experience how to intercrop, how to establish companion plants, to recycle organic matter, and to design systems where little can produce much. We see it in the extended periods and the myriad ways in which you have come to enjoy bodi, seasoning peppers, beets, lettuce, herbs, you name it. And I can say for myself, because I have my own backyard garden, that is the place where my sons came to love broccoli. There's nobody that will pick sweet corn better than those three little boys of mine. You'll be lucky if you get to bring back in the kitchen, because they'll pick it right there and eat it while they play. Right? The reason why my eldest boy, Bryce, likes sorrel juice so much is because we grew sorrel in the backyard. And we wondered, what was this red thing for? And we showed him that we could make juice with it, and now it's his favorite. So in every instance, we take the opportunity to do those simple things. It transforms the way we think, it changes our perspectives, and gives us new opportunities. The process also teaches us resilience. That the best designs are the best designs are the ones that keep producing in sun or rain. It validates and shows as well as shows the shortcomings of our observations and actions, so that our critical thinking and problem-solving capacities are enhanced. So too, the capabilities of our gardens, even when the weather turns harsh, so that in sun, in rain, in good and bad, there's always something to be harvested, something to be enjoyed, and something to share. In that way, every garden, every bed can become a teacher. We learn about the soil, we learn about the weather, we learn about composting, we learn about formulations, but we also learn the value of effort. When we learn from them, we don't just grow food. We grow understanding and confidence. And as we share what we have grown, we build the kind of collective learning and community that can make a difference. This is how education for resilience happens, not only in schools or training centers, but in every home where someone takes the time to observe, to plant something new, and to share what they have learned. Learning by doing and sharing is an important part of the work that I do as ECA's National Specialist. It's emphasized in the work that we do, especially with our farmer organizations, our community-based groups, and CSOs, in promoting rural enterprise development. Some of the work that we've done has been really inspiring and encouraging to me and to the persons that we've worked with. Whether that be establishing a chocolate company in 1 week with partners from Trinidad and on a budget of less than $4,000. Whether that be diversifying and rejuvenating old cocoa farms by introducing a regenerative model for cocoa, diversifying income and using the resources around us. But most importantly for me is the light that I see go on in people's heads when we show them that the soil, that strange looking plant, that funny smelling one over there, has new value that they never thought of. That persons come to appreciate the very soil that they walk on, the very soil that they plant in, and the food that comes from it. Learning to use what we have around us, to create value from that, and to support the value systems that make them work. And this can be both in a market, in a place where people value a commodity or product, but also in the recognition of the value of the resources around us that takes place in our minds and in the way we approach agricultural development. I want to emphasize that point because the application of sustainable agricultural practices transforms the way we see value creation. And we've come to see that our homes and our backyards can be places where we create that value. In every banana peel, in every coconut husk, in every drop of rainwater that we've collected, we've come to see them as important resources and not just something going down the drain, not just something to be thrown into the garbage bin. When we compost, when we do those things, when we trade with our neighbors, when we share of the abundance that we've been able to create, we build the basis for circular systems. One that reduces dependency and increases self-reliance. In doing this, we strengthen the foundation of our food systems from the ground up. And that is really important. Building our food systems from the ground up was one key message that came out recently in the Zero Draft strategy for food systems transformation for St. Lucia. This is a product that was put out by the Ministry of Agriculture. It's still is higher than the global average by 26% and by about 6% compared to the rest of the Caribbean. And even in this situation, we still find that imported foods fill our shopping bags and our plates, accounting for as much as 83 cents of every dollar that we spend on food. Okay. So not only is it expensive and becoming more expensive with time, it's contributing to a scenario where an estimated 83 to 87% of all deaths in St. Lucia have been associated with some type of chronic non-communicable disease. So we're literally eating ourselves to death and eating ourselves to an early grave. And these are things that we need to work systematically to transform. And I think that the very practical experience that you've had is an important strategy for treating that very problem. Because we know, as farmers, as gardeners, that in all of existence, in all of the world, there is nothing that tastes better than what you've grown yourself. Isn't that true? There is nothing that can taste better. Nobody can convince me about it. Nothing that tastes better than the thing you've grown yourself. Whether it be the berry vegetables, you know what my boy's favorite vegetable is now? Broccoli. Because we grew it in the yard. They helped us water it to them to water in cans over by essence. And when we had to put compost and manure, they liked it because it was messy, so they could come and chip their hands in it and put it around the plants. And when we picked it, and they saw me just pick it from the plant and start chewing on it, they watched me as if I was going mad, and they wanted to try. And that was definitely. Okay. So the only thing so far I can't say that for, maybe the only thing on the exclusion list is Christophine, because I haven't grown it myself yet. So anything else I grow except Christophine for now. But that dynamic, that connection to our food, the way that we change our outlook on things, I think is important to making our food systems work for us and in the way that we want them to. So consider this. How useful could this connection to our food and to the way in which it is grown help to reshape our food systems, to reshape how we think about our local foods, what we eat and what we choose to spend our money. I think it has a critical role to play if we're talking about any kind of meaningful transformation of agricultural food systems. With that strategy in place, I can readily envision a St. Lucia where backyards bloom with edible abundance, where that abundance sparks creativity and new uses, and where homegrown carries both value and pride all the way to the cash register. And for me, that is not a dream, that is a matter of design. A design for abundance, a design with local knowledge, local labor, and local love for it. If we're talking about food security, it's not only about having enough food, it's about having also control over what we eat and how it is produced. When families grow foods that they want to eat, that they're curious about and they want to try, they produce nutrition, health, and dignity. Healthy soils make for healthy food. Healthy food nourishes healthy people. And healthy people are the only kind of people that can build healthy nations. In a world of rising food import bills, volatile food prices, I think that every home garden is a small act of sovereignty. It's perhaps the best way to demonstrate food sovereignty. A quiet but powerful contribution to national resilience because we are that nation. And it's by our actions we can build a nation of resilience. So, every seed that you plant, think of it as an act of self-reliance. And that's something that resonates with me. My alma mater, my alma mater was a high school of a total of 147 students called the Dominican Community High School. And the motto of that high school is self-reliance for a future bright. So it emphasizes the importance of taking the initiative, of taking your learning and applying it, of being a problem solver rather than a problem commentator. With every action to produce food, we give ourselves the ability to feed ourselves, our planets, our families, and our communities. Permaculture reminds us that empowerment doesn't come from owning more. It comes from understanding systems and from working with those natural systems instead of against them, even when they are harsh. I remember a couple years ago sharing in a different capacity for different hat about the harshness that some persons had to persist under. And this was to a class of undergrad students at UWI St. Augustine's a few years ago, many of which hadn't even heard of Dominica when I told them that I was from that country. And many of whom were studying agriculture, not as their first choice, but because that was the only option that was given to them when their first option didn't come through. So normally people would apply for maybe 2 or 3 different courses. And if they get rejected for all the others, they say, okay, I'll go do agriculture, or I'll do agribusiness. Right? So that normally happens. And the UWI St. Augustine alumni know that fact, right? We've seen that. So in sharing with them about, hardships and how persons have to persist, I told them the area where I had to study for CXC. When everybody go to bed and turn off the light, if I stay there studying, I'll be disturbing them, so I have to go in the porch to study. Now, it just so happens that a lot of the tunes that they were playing earlier are the tunes I used to study too. I used to listen to Bear Bob Marley when I was studying for CXC and for college. So I know those songs very well, and it was really good hearing a lot of them that I hadn't heard for a little while. And we used to play those songs, me and my brother. My older brother is the chief fisheries officer in Dominica. And we had a little table, and we used to study opposite each other at times. Just blazing Bob Marley late into the night, enduring the mosquitoes, sometimes rain coming, so you have to kind of shift the table. And the old radio that we used to use was a thing that you had to, when you have to Jimmy flex, you have to turn the cord a certain way for it to get power. Yeah, man, we had to do that. You had to tie that up and hang it up the right way for it to get power, for it to play the tape. And then even the thing to hold the tape was broken because it was an old one we had gotten and that we salvaged. And you have to make sure that you push the tape in properly and press the play button so that it starts to wind, so that would hold the tape in place. Because when the tape ends and it stops, the tape falls out. Yeah, real thing. But that taught us a lot. Those are some of the best nights me and my brother spent together, chatting, laughing, learning. It just so happened that he was a couple of years ahead of me in both high school and agriculture, so I could use his notes as well. I mean, all that was advantageous to me as well, right? But even in the midst of whatever circumstance we find ourselves, there's a reality that we need to understand. Life will never be fair. There are always challenges. Things will always be harsh. But our capacity, remember what I said earlier? Our hands have been made strong by the hands of the Almighty. We are people who are accustomed to resilience. We are people
observe an increase in crop yield in their lasagna beds versus the traditional plots. In water efficiency, rainwater harvesting, sustained crops during dry spells, we witness an increase in soil health visible by the presence of earthworm activities and mycelium growth. Most participants highlighted that their crops were more flavorful and healthier than those obtained at the supermarket. Persons outside of the projects were so impressed with the results that they began to adopt the system of lasagna beds. Some of our challenges was, skepticism towards the permaculture methods, which caused initial resistance, limited access to materials sometimes, such as cardboard, organic matter, and manure, and as well as transporting those material. At times there was difficulty in transporting them for real. I hope Eufalia understands that. Weather extremes also was one of our difficulties. Unpredictable dry spells disturbed planting cycles at times. And animal interference. The fowls come and scratch your thing because the soil was so rich, so much, so much earthworms, and the biodiversity was so rich that the chickens couldn't avoid it. Lessons learned. Well, flexibility in planning is essential to adapt to climate variability. Maintenance of plans are critical for infrastructure longevity. That means, you have to make sure that you plan well, and that's a strong ethic in permaculture. What else? Recommendations. I personally recommend that rainwater harvesting should be extended to more farms and households. That will help in reducing our cost, as I said earlier on. I feel that the community seed bank should be established to facilitate community farms and to preserve our indigenous seeds, because we are losing a lot of our indigenous seeds. For the Taiwanese bringing a lot of, I don't want to say too much. We need to introduce more grey water harvesting systems. We lose a lot of our water. We wash it and we just let it run out. These waters can be used to water tree crops and other crops that, instead of letting it just go down the drain. I also recommend that a permaculture curriculum be developed for the local schools, so our children could begin to learn how to plan based on weather patterns and how the rain, the different change in the seasons. Well, that's basically it. I just want to thank most of the people that I work with. I would like to thank Clay Caribbean for giving me the opportunity to be on this project, to go to St. Vincent and learn the culture in St. Vincent. I'd like to thank Dr. Euphalia. Where's she? Dr. Euphalia Filgens, my true friend and sister, my fellow coaches. Oh, I don't want to forget you, Dr. D. And I would like to also thank the participants in the project and all those who helped in the process of making this project a success. Thank you.
I thought my coach had spoken on our behalf for our region, but apparently he wants some of us to come up and speak individually. I'm here and I'm living a healthier life because of permaculture planting. I've had my battles with it. Pests are more prevalent. It's more difficult to get rid of them. But here's what, at the end of the day, when you eat, you know what you eat is something good. My food does not stay around for long because it deteriorates in, you mean you pick it, you have to eat it, which tells me I'm getting a healthier food than when I buy in the supermarket and it can stay for a very long time and get hard and nothing happens to it. I can also go outside, pick and eat. I don't really have to worry about washing because the rain does it for me. And I know I don't have chemicals on it. The fowls have been a problem for me. Water is a problem for me. Unlike what I was told when I moved into the area, it hardly rains by me, although I have a nice river nearby. but I have been so impressed in being part of the program that I have a vision to teach my son to grow using permaculture so that at some point in time in life when I am no longer here, he has a sustainable way of living and maintaining himself where he does not have to depend on his brothers and sisters. That's what I've seen permaculture do.
Yes, good day, persons. I want to have to bend over. All right, respect. Yes, good day. Persons, I want to adopt protocol. I want to recognize Dr. Owen Gray, Dr. Tipalia, Christopher, my colleague, Elijah. We call ourselves the free wise man, the Rasta man. And we are not really responsible for making this a reality. I want to address the theme, the future of Caribbean agriculture. That's the theme of this gathering, or permaculture and sustainable agricultural project. Today is a historic moment for St. Lucia's agriculture, also for Latil Falls. I'm greatly honored to be associated with Clare Caribbean for the opportunity for bringing Latil into the highlight, which we needed long time ago. In dealing, I want to say, in dealing with present problems, which at the moment appear so overwhelming, let us at the same time do so with a clear eye to the future. Let us be far-seeing in our actions. From the beginning of time, recorded history, without agricultural expansion, economic growth is impossible. As late as as we go through the ages, agriculture has been constituting the fundamental source of wealth for the human race. This is, I right here, address you as a farmer and as a host for this deliberations today. Latil Falls was founded by I, and it is with great pleasure, a long time, we wanted to address you in a gathering like this. Again, the future of Caribbean agriculture. There is no future without a past or a present. I is an advocate for non-stop resilience. So them climate change resilience and non-stop resilience. The past. Latil represented a farm long time ago, and we planted farmers vegetable crops, tree crops, etc. As you see, you went to the farm. Latil is a farm which have taken agriculture within boundaries and take it to the world, global, international, and international. The reason is because of the simplicity and the freedom within what exists here. Right, let me tell you about the past. I attended a humble school in Laclery. They call the Butel Government School. Big up Laclery. St. Mary's College, the Eastern Caribbean Institute of Agriculture and Forestry in Trinidad. I'm talking about my past, I past. Courses at the University of the West Indies, Mona, Jamaica, UWI St. Augustine, and worked in almost all disciplines in the Ministry of Agriculture, agricultural engineering, information, research, extension, and most of all with CADATS. CADATS is the Caribbean Agricultural Development and Training Institute, Training Service, which was a counterpart to St. Lucia. Most of all, we are talking about the past. Like I said, I brought agriculture and permaculture, horticulture, all the cultures, and Rasta culture to the world. I was a member of the Heritage Tourism Project, the initial, where we had our mandate to bring. The rationale was tourism was more of hotels, the revenue. The mandate was to create some community programs and initiatives to bring foreign exchange to communities. Latil was one, or is one of the sites. All right, this is the past. Let's look at the present. I forgot the past. Now let's look at the present. Latil provides a framework for the model farm for the non-stop resilience and the future for Caribbean agriculture. Remember, I'm your host. You have to respect me. It is the only farm, not the only, but one of the few farms which has an ecotourism component, renewable, I'm talking about the present, renewable energy demonstration. For example, all our operations are within the language of sustainable, I like that word, non-stop resilience. Latil is one of the few places, if not the only farm that has hydroelectricity, micro hydroelectricity. Through the past, I did this project with the University of Vermont. Big up, Gary. The unit is still there, and my coming up to the podium, I hope that people are listening. And one day, it was developed because of the oil peak, and we're looking for alternative ways for energy. So I was chosen, and the system is still there. Presently, we have photovoltaic, and if you go up there, we have a ramp pump for when you go to the waterfall, you'll see something. We have been doing this long time. I talk 20 years and so. My kids who are about 30 years actually know how to build it. Non-stop resilience. Permaculture present demonstration for the awareness. And I want to say that this permaculture project will go international because when the tourists come from the cruise ships, the hotels and all with Christopher. He has volunteered, Christopher, to do the tour guiding and the explanation. He's very versed with. So we will take this project, big up the doc because she always, you know what I'm saying, want to everything to be all right. The farm design, Latil is one of the few sites which has a pond with the fish, tilapia fish, and we use the water to provide nitrogen and etc. in the garden. You know, a guy told me, Shaney, about 2 days ago, you know, Ras, you know the fish were still in the garden after 20 years? This, I thought, is probably true. The residue. So with Chris and so, we hope the solar pump will pump water from the fish pond to a tank and then to the drips for the permaculture. Big up yourself. Tourism tours the present. I was given 2 minutes. I will just try to. So the farm design we will do, put it on paper, put where everything is. So we could probably put proposals to donor agencies for further expansion. We said agricultural expansion for future. No economic growth without agricultural expansion. That is the words of the king. Quote. For the future, education at all levels, school tours, especially to Latil, which I started it, but the tours, the challenges of the tours to Latil is to get the schools. When I did the renewable energy project, was to get the financing for the buses and, you know, logistics to make it happen. And the kids were more interested in going to the waterfall and scream than go to the thing. So we have to get a way of catching their attention. The future of Caribbean agriculture. That's the theme for today. Our rivers has to be maintained to provide irrigation. There should be an irrigation commission, just like there is a WASCO, to make dams on our rivers and to produce water. Even in my deliberations when I went to do the course in Jamaica, irrigation principles and practices in the Caribbean. We went to Rio Cobra. We saw in the east, a big dam was being constructed, and it would have provided water like from Vieux Fort to Dennery or Castries, and farmers would take water from the canal. Another thing for the future of Caribbean agriculture, the people who go to study agriculture in the Caribbean should, well, I don't want to, but we need some more patriotism in the Caribbean. Most people are entomologists, they end up into administration. This one is a this, and you end up into that. With that kind of channeling, that's for our future. Imagine in the Middle East, when you have a PhD or a sanitation engineer. Appropriate technology adoption. We must use appropriate technology, the technology that is around us, and Latil is testimony of that. Waterfall, gravity, ram pump. Waterfall, hydro turbine, electricity. Now permaculture with Christopher and Caribbean Sea, flora, etc., lasagna. lasagna, no dig beds. This is the future. The optimization of resources of flora, sustainable harvesting. We need to look at make an inventory of our crop, our flora and fauna. Latil has done, well, not really done that, but we are aware of the different species. We use the bois grillé to even make houses. I have a house which I went into the world Airbnb, made out of bois grillé. And we were with this lady over there, Gerda, we were super host 5-star with a bois grillé house. Guests from all over France, Germany, Martinique, Guadeloupe, St. Lucia, everywhere. So, bois grillé, Mayan, because of the Mayan that you could bend. If you go over there, you see I have arches. This is for my Ethiopian Orthodox Church to make the arches. We made it of Mayan. It gives the spirituality for the place, Orthodox. All right. The sustainable harvesting, the marine resource respect. We need that for the future of Caribbean agriculture. You go by the beach and you see all type of bottles and this and that. And not mentioning, things that we're not supposed to even mention. Yeah? Equipment, appropriate equipment that could be used in our tropical surroundings. I want again to big up Dr. Owen. Owen, who whenever he comes at that job of time, that is like a password for him. Oh, what a magical, when he leaves, what a magical place you have. He always says that when he leaves. I recognize, big you up. Big up Dr. Phil Jones, the three wise men, culture man. Big up Elijah, big up Christopher, big up Andrea, who's always there, and all the farm workers that you all try to give me pressure, to give them pressure. And then it made, that's what it made. It made this possible. Thanks.
Yes, good afternoon to everybody. Well, I think most everybody know me by now, but Elijah Shalmang. I've been on the project for 3 years. I've been representing person from Castries to Dennery. I was the person who selected most of the persons, but then I was shipped to the northern zone, and I'm now responsible for everybody from Castries to Grosile. I have 19 farmers under my monitoring. Over the span, it has been a joy working with everybody. Sometimes, in all honesty, there are certain persons who require my assistance more than others. And I'm sometimes under pressure and time bound. Okay, don't want to be too long, but some of the challenges over the time has been with the weather, the intense dry periods rather, where it has limited the possibility of planting when you would like to. So with the permaculture system and the lasagna bed, some of the practices that we are trying to encourage in terms of using the banana body to increase moisture within the bed system, and also with the rainwater harvesting. Some of the other challenges would be in terms of labor access for some of the farmers. Some farmers request labor to help in terms of building the beds, and in that regard, there is not actually skilled labor available to support them. And so those are one of the other challenges. I would feel some of the achievements out of it. One of the most important one in terms of the soil. The quality of the soil that is developed through the lasagna bed system, I think is phenomenal in terms of texture and quality. I think we need to pay special attention to, by just simply using natural biomass, putting them together, that we can actually create soils. And this is something that can be done in any environment. So you could be on a rock and you could still actually create your garden. And it is very important to understand the importance of food sovereignty and the cost of living right now. So it is very vital that every household should be able to have a garden and produce food. I'll go into recommendations. Some of my recommendations really would be in terms of households protecting wastewater. I think that is very much important in terms of creating systems to actually filter your wastewater. We need to consider and plan when we dispose wastewater. It is not only affecting you. If you live on a hill, it affects everybody below you. If you live by the river, it affects the life in the stream. And it carries on out to the coral reef on the beach. So everything is connected. Understanding your environment, what's connected and what impact it has on another is very vital. My other recommendation would be in terms of how do we continuously build upon where we are right now in terms of planning for the future, and not just using what we have now, but actually creating systems within our households that can cut our expenses in terms of having to depend on buying food from outside. And hereby we can build on the network sharing amongst communities and individuals, that you may be producing broccoli and I may be producing tomatoes, and we can actually do barter, or it can be financial, but in that terms of creating a more loving, sharing environment, which is kind of lacking, I think, within the agriculture sector. And last but not least, I think there is economical opportunities within us as home gardeners to build on the industry of actually creating more economic streams from it. So where we could create byproducts, and I have one of my farmers here, Miss Rigobert, who is doing herbal dry herbs, and it is agro-processing. I would like to encourage with our production systems, how do we see a finished product, a product for the shelf, something that can create continuance in terms of income, all right? I don't want to take too long, so it's a pleasure, and I hope you enjoy it. I would like to call on my two farmers.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think farmer is a bit of a stretch. I am Nicole Edgecombe from the Groseley Methodist Church, and we had an idea to start a community garden with the idea of drawing people into church, with the idea of connecting children to the earth and to their food. We had many ideas, and just as we were about to begin our project, by divine intervention, we found out about Dr. Fulgence and her program. And so we were very, very excited. She and her team came in, and so far we have benefited greatly from her intervention. We are the recipients of one of her tanks, a solar pump. What am I forgetting, Luthalia? and the irrigation system, which we are about to put in. I do want to emphasize that the idea that your food is so much better when you grow it. And not only does it taste better and is it better for you, but it lasts longer. So we had our little experiment. We sold a lot of spinach, not sold, well, people gave a donation during our harvest festival of spinach from our garden to our church community. And everyone commented on how long this spinach lasted in our refrigerator. If you buy it from the supermarket in 3 days, it's a green slime in the bottom of your fridge. And so the food is clearly healthier, and we are excited to continue with our product. I want to say one more thing, and that is for those of once or twice a week. And in the heat of the sunshine, with very little rain this year, we had an abundant proliferation of tomatoes and cantaloupes, the spinach. I mean, I don't know what we're going to do about our sweet potato vine. It has taken over the church ground. So it's a really effective way. It's a really effective way of growing your food. I highly encourage all of you to try it if you have not yet. And we're looking forward to continuing to work. We hope Elijah makes it. Elijah, where are you?
I'm here. I'm going to be coming.
I've been calling on Elijah. Elijah needs to make it.
I will.
My lemon tree is looking sick.
I will be there.
Need some help. Thank you very much.
Can I be heard? Everybody's hearing me? So this is a bit impromptu. I'm kind of replacing somebody.
One, two. One, two.
With my experience, I'm coming from the perspective of a young mom with children, and I've gardened before, so in comparison to what I've done before, to the new strategies. And the thing is, I'm not, I'm not new to the philosophy of, permaculture. So I have had some experience with permaculture itself. The lasagna bed was a new thing to me, and the lasagna bed was very, very, very successful for us. So the difference was in the care of the plants. It was much easier for us to take care of the garden in terms of weeding, and the thing I saw was that we did the first set of peppers, and they just blossomed. They blossomed with a little, if I have to be very honest, sometimes my husband kind of jokes and he says, sometimes I think your plants may die, you know. He just kind of gives the kind of jokes because balancing family life and a garden can be challenging. So what it showed me was permaculture and the lasagna bed philosophy and the technology is useful in applying it, in that it makes the whole process easier. It makes gardening more productive too, with less inputs. Okay, and the next thing was not just the inputs, but when you're doing cycles of planting, it made it way easier also, because you set up the beds and you did not have to set the beds up completely like you would have done previously, which is plowing, and these things are kind of labor intensive. So it obviously made it very easy for me to do. But one thing, it wasn't just a full success. So one of the things that I realized was the possibility, and if you don't do the beds right, that the pests could be a real issue. So I had an experience where the first bed that I did, I did not follow through exactly how I was instructed. So I think I skipped the I'll try to make it very quick. So what happened was the bed without the much cardboard. I had all, like, most of my peppers is eaten out with slugs. And so the slugs eat out the peppers. I would come in the morning, early in the morning, try to hunt for slugs, and late in the night try to hunt for slugs. But the slugs were winning the battle of, because the thing is, if you don't put the cardboard, then you don't get a for the pets. And so the slugs, and I don't know what I did. I did something wrong. I didn't follow instructions in some way. But when I did it the next time, it was so successful, and I got very, very, very good. So of course I want to thank everyone again. Yes, for this.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My name is 1, 2. Good afternoon, everybody. Once again, my name is Kenroy Charles, and I'm representing the farmers from canneries and slurry. In the communities to help with task on the So some of the challenges that my farmers face are finding workers to carry tasks out on their farms. Natural disasters like droughts, heavy rain, strong winds, and erosion. Access to land. Some of my farmers, their land are very remote, so therefore vehicles cannot go directly to their farms. So we need to carry equipment, the tanks, so that costs a lot of money and time. That's some of the problems or challenges that my farmers face. So the benefits are water management. Farmers are trained or they are informed about the ways and techniques to store water and to preserve water. Rain harvesting, storing, and using drip irrigation system to minimize the use of water loss and evaporation. So some of the farmers, they are given equipment such as timers, drip lights, so therefore less water is being wasted. Farmers are also implementing climate smart agricultural practices such as crop companion, planting crops together so that they can thrive together and help each other in terms of dealing with pests and adding nutrients to the soil, such as nitrogen. Other agricultural practices, some farmers are practicing. So some farmers are practicing practices such as land terracing. They are terracing land on slopes, slopy hills. So therefore, erosion will be minimum. Some farmers also are practicing good agricultural practices such as going into more organic farming. So synthetic chemicals or fertilizers, they are moving away from this stuff and they are going to more natural or organic practices. So therefore, this will help the soil and then regenerate the soil, adding amendments to the soil for a better livelihood. I'll now hand you over to my colleague.
So, thank you. All right, once again, everyone, good afternoon. My name is Sharika Tuse, and I'm proud to say that I'm a pioneer of a system that works. Who else can attest to that? I've heard many stories, and I know, yes. Well, basically, in minimum, just few words right now. My farmers, like I'm dealing with the West Coast as far as even Dennery. You know, dealing with over 11 farmers right now. So, challenges for my farmers are mainly water. You know, mainly water in the dry season. And for that, that's why, you know, we have distributed drip lines and tanks. Also, the system, which is using mulch to, you know, cover up your topsoil and stuff like that, retains the water. So this is another system that actually is very effective and efficient in combating, you know, the droughts and stuff like that during the dry weathers. Yes, most of my farmers have already planted and cultivated despite the challenges. So even as I speak right now, I have farmers that have already planted stuff like chives. You know, I have a farmer presently who has planted Chinese cabbage. I have done some planting myself, and I have done a great lot. You understand? I just couldn't bring stuff to show because, you know. But again, I'll call upon Glenda right now to give reviews and, yeah, what she has. Yeah, and Bamboo, you next. James Henry, you next. It doesn't matter, you know, I sure they have people there that could, yeah.
Good day, everyone. My name is Glindia Charles, and I speak on behalf of not just a participant, but that of representing persons who an opportunity was given to me to experience permaculture, something I had never heard of as a community liaison officer at the Sufre Foundation. I had never really actually heard of permaculture. And when I was connected with Dr. Filgens in relation to it, I thought this was rather exciting because I love agriculture. I was raised on a farm. However, I've had a lull in my life where I was separated from it. And I saw this, even prior to that, I was already farming just about a year before. And being introduced to permaculture, and also with Kenroy and Sharika Cookie. Those two have been rather helpful with providing me with guidance, and the team that I have home with a level of guidance that has actually brought into fruition, as evidence on the table right there, Chinese cabbage. And I think that this is a sustainable approach to farming. I can safely tell you that witnessing the growth of so many crops on our farm, we have a problem with a lot of weeds. And as a result of that, permaculture has provided me with that opportunity to be able to, of course, it is time saving. It's a time saver. I hate weeding, except for weeding chives and other light stuff. But I hate weeding, and this has provided me, well, this has afforded me the time to be able to focus on other areas of the farm. With that, I would like to extend a great level of appreciation to Dr. Owende, Mr. Ariste, Dr. Filgens, Sharika, and Kenroy, and the rest of the team. We thank you so much, and we really appreciate this. And one more thing I have to say is that unless you're the recipient of some level of assistance, it will be difficult for someone to understand when it comes to tools. Farming requires a lot of tools. And some persons are not able to afford it, because I do have persons around me. I come from a small community where we've got a small community group, and there are struggles in getting those tools. And this team, along with the various stakeholders, have made it possible to access those tools and, of course, to make a difference in our lives. So I would like to again thank everyone who has assisted us, and thank you. Keep going on in St. Lucia. We welcome you, and we welcome the donors to continue pouring in us, on us, or through us, because we have examples to actually deliver within the Caribbean. Thank you.
Another round of applause for all our farmers, all, including the lady who does not believe that she's a farmer. I just want you to know that once your hand touches soil and you're able to produce something that is edible and you enjoy, you are indeed a farmer. So a round of applause for our ladies as well. We do have a very slight change in our program this afternoon. We have deferred the question and answer segment to after the closing of the day, where we would mingle a bit more and learn about each other's projects. The directors are here and will be given a bit of guidance. You know, you could just have a one-on-one with them. I'm sure they would welcome that. But at this time, we have the esteemed pleasure to distribute our certificates. 5 of our farmers have successfully graduated from the coaches. Our coaches have successfully graduated from the CVQ Level 3 training. A round of applause for all of them. And this graduation, small award ceremony, graduation presentation of certificates will be taking place right now. I wish we had some music cued, but I am sure that the continuous round of applause, you just keep it looping while I call each name, so that will provide the music and momentum necessary to give or to showcase our pride at this time. So I call on Dr. Day to join me on stage. Let's welcome him. Remember, your applause is the music, eh? Okay, so you will stand here.
Okay.
Stand by the banner. Stand by the banner. So our first recipient is Mr. Elijah Shalmine. Yes. Congratulations, Elijah.
our vision. And for that, I'd like to say thank you. The teachers, our students, without the youth involved, we will go nowhere because they are our future. And one of the wise men indicated that we needed to have a past, a future, and a present. So I see them as our future, even as we experience our present. Okay? So thank you very much, teachers, students, for being involved and helping us realize our vision. Thank you very much. There is a gentleman who stays in the background. You don't see him much, you don't hear him, but he is responsible for a lot of the organization of what we are doing and what we're seeing here today. And that is our friend Kevin. Where is he? Where is Kevin? Kevin, come on, make yourself known. Kevin Matthew, the man behind the signs, the man behind the organization of everything. We thank you. We thank you, brother. Now, there is this organization called the St. Lucia Agriculture and Environment Foundation. How many of y'all have heard of this organization? Only one person. Well, let me tell you that Kevin, Chris, and all the trainers during this monumental work have managed to organize and register a group of farmers who are into permaculture. And this is the name of the group, St. Lucia Agriculture and Environment Foundation. You will hear a lot more about them, I guarantee it. Thank you. Kevin. Now, I'd like to thank Aika, Brent. Your talk was very inspirational. I can actually say that I too, while studying for CXC, listened to Bob Marley a lot, so I was like, okay, this is a guy who knows his stuff. But whenever you speak of agriculture, whenever I hear anything about progressive movement in agriculture, I hear about Aika, and I hear Brent's name being called. Brent, we would like to say thank you, because I know that it requires dedication. It requires someone with passion, and it is not just about a job with you. Thank you for your assistance. And thank you for helping us get some additional funding to carry it on. Future. Future funding. The Ministry of Agriculture. A lot of people don't hear a lot about the Ministry of Agriculture, but they're often involved behind the scenes. They're the integral bit, the interconnective tissue behind the work we do. And for that, I'd like to say thank you. The Ministry of Sustainable Development, who's represented here by our Deputy Permanent Secretary, healthy soils, the whole issue of land degradation, neutrality, these are all national priorities. These are all priorities that speaks to healthy soil, rehabilitation of soils, so that we can improve productivity. And I would like to say thank you for your participation and your presence. There's another reason why I must say thank you to Mr. Satney is because he and his production team delivered that lovely video that we watched earlier today. I think that we must commend him and his team for such excellent work. Thank you. I would like to say thank you to Mr. Calix from the Southeast Coast Project, the Miku Village Council. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, we are in Miku. Without their assistance, we would not have had this wonderful event that we have today. And to them, I say thank you. The Ministry of Education, it is often we speak about partnerships, and I believe strategic partnerships are key to realizing visions. And the Ministry of Education is an important partner in our efforts to educate and to allow for innovative education in the form of our technical vocational qualifications. And I think that we really need to say a special thank you for that. And to the Ministry of Education, the SLC TVET group, I say thank you. I think this is a really good approach towards how we will continue to learn in St. Lucia and the region. Thank you. Our friends at the St. Lucia National Conservation Trust Fund, I think we need to say thank you, because grassroots funding, microfinancing, these are some of the things that they're good at, and they partner with us to produce and to realize the vision. Thank you. Now I know that I'm between you and lunch, so I'm winding down. I would like to say that the Methodist Church, I mean, we all have our different conditions in terms of faith, and faith that speaks to the earth. One of my uncles is a minister, and he said to me that God put us here so we can take care of the earth and so that we can produce. And he said to me, when God spoke about being fruitful and multiplying, he wasn't talking about people, he was talking about plants and the earth. So I thank you for being involved and in your way, bringing the community garden, the spirit, and that of the soil to your community. Thank you for being a part of it. And to the media, HTS, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing us to carry our voices not only here but throughout the country. Thank you very much. JJ's stage and production. Now we were talking about resilience. Now, you know about the mic situation. This is just another test for us in terms of resilience. Thank you very much, JJ Stage Production, for your resilience. DJ Camo on the sound system. Hey, Bob Marley was the inspiration for Brett this morning. Trust me, I think that you did an excellent job. Thank you for partnering with us on this. Screen and stage setup. You can't, this was professionally done. You have the screen, we could see the video even though it's daylight, bright sunshine. I think this was a wonderful thing. And thank you, Michael Esnard from Island Sounds. Thank you very much for partnering with us in this endeavor. Impact Media. Impact Media, that is what we are trying to do. We want to have positive impact in everything we do. Thank you very much for your continued support and for partnering with us. One of the wise men, owner and manager of Latil Falls. Without you, we would not enjoy the excellent ambience, and for that, we thank you. Thank you, sir. And last but not least, I would like to say thank you to our Mistress of Ceremonies, Miss Amanda. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for me to exit left. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Chris. My role throughout this project has mainly been one of facilitation. The excellent work done by Euthalia and the trainers, they're the ones who brought it off. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ariste, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Ariste, and thank you to all you participants for your energy, your insights, and your commitment to building resilience, non-stop resilience, from the ridge to the reef. May today's lessons inspire continued collaboration and innovation across our islands. Let's keep the dialogue alive. As I said earlier, after the ceremony, the partnership stronger and the soil ever fertile with ideas and with purpose. I am Amanda Faye Clark, your Master of Ceremonies today. It has been an absolute pleasure through this inspiring morning. Have yourself a productive and uplifting afternoon and evening ahead, and let's continue to grow together. Thank you very much. And lunch is already being served, so I got excited when she told me. I got excited. I like lunch. Lunch is already being served. It's to the back where you got served your brunch this morning. So do queue up orderly and enjoy everything that we have to offer this afternoon. Thanks again for being here. Thank you.